Welcome to our program today. I'm with Josh Gritzmaker. Josh is the president or the chairman of the America First. No, it was the America First Republicans, and it is now becoming the Hillsdale Conservatives. And we're going to share a bit of you with the story that caused that to be. And we're going to go into just a tad of Josh's background. He's been a Hillsdale native for quite a while now. Lives in Jefferson Township, ran for supervisor this last election cycle. And as I said, he is now the chair of the Hillsdale Conservatives. And Josh, you were just sharing with me that it's really still in process. I'll let you take it and
Sure.
tell what you want to tell about that, and
Yeah.
maybe share a little bit of how we came to be this from the America First Republicans.
Sure.
There's quite a story there.
Yeah.
Quite a debacle it was,
Yeah.
and it's not even over,
No,
sadly.
still going on,
So,
sadly, for sure.
Yeah, go ahead and share.
So, the Republican Party's had a riff for a few years now, since 2022, and in early 2023, we decided to formally set up a PAC, separate completely, since we were operating differently than the establishment Republicans anyways, and form the America First Hillsdale Republicans.
Well, I might throw in there, when the split first happened, a few of them came for a few months, but pretty early on, when there was some disagreement, most of them left and didn't come back.
Yeah, you could see, and I was a very new member at the time when that all occurred. I started coming in middle of 2020 to meetings and watching that. My first meeting was April of 2020. I decided, I was like, I got to get involved. I want to get involved locally. I feel like I could make a difference there rather than, signing up to do something statewide or federally. So I came to the first meeting, and it was very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. I was pretty taken back by, one, the disorganization of the group at the time, the lack of urgency at the time by those who were leading the meeting, and this was right in the heart of COVID, and I was one of those guys that's like, all right, I'm off the sideline, let's get involved, let's go, let's do something, and I was very disappointed in the Republican Party that day. I didn't know anybody there. I moved to Hillsdale in 2018, and at that time, I was going to be a one and done. I was angry. I was walking out the door after that meeting was over, with everything going on and being in the mecca of
Conservatism, supposedly.
Yeah,
right.
I assumed that place was going to be packed to the gills, and I was very disappointed. So I walked out. Nobody said anything to me. The only person that actually talked to me that day was Mike Shirkey.
Okay.
He came up and talked to me. Very nice, introduced himself. I was like, okay, cool. State Senator introduced himself to me. I was sitting by myself, so that was a nice gesture of him. He decided, him and I think he had like an assistant or something, sit kind of kitty corner behind me. And during the meeting, he's sitting back here talking to his assistant, trash talking, Steve Veer and all the other guys that were running it. Pretty much, he was echoing what I was thinking.
Okay.
But in my mind, I agreed with the trash talking. He was, talking underneath his breath to those folks. He probably assumed I couldn't hear him, but I could. And but at the same time, in my mind, I'm thinking, you're their senator. If there's a problem here, why aren't you helping these people?
Right.
Instead of just bashing them under your breath here. And that was part of my frustration there too, because obviously the leadership at the time in early 2020 was a mess.
So that was still under what we call the old guard.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't mean to interrupt you. There
Sure.
came a point in time where we had enough membership that wanted change that you might say was truly conservative, and we became the majority. And then that's what, after just a few months, most of them stopped coming.
Yeah. So that day, when I was walking out the door, like I said, I was going to be a one and done, and two fellas stopped me, and it was John Smith and John Rutan. They were talking by themselves close to the door that I was leaving at.
So they didn't know you. You didn't know them at that time.
No, not at all.
You took the initiative to come.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping more people will
Right,
do.
Right. And so I'm walking out, and I must have had a frustrated look on my face because they stopped me and they're like, "You look pretty pissed." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "This is a shit show in here. Like, I'm done. I'm not coming to this." And they're like, "We know. We have a plan to fix this. You got a minute to hear our plan?" So I'm like, all right, I'm already here. I'll listen to what these guys got to say. I didn't know who was old guard, new guard, anybody at the time.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, all right.
You probably didn't even know Mike Shirkey till he introduced himself.
No, not at all. Not at all. Wasn't involved in politics whatsoever until that day. And so they said, hey, look, we know that these people running this aren't doing anything for the people. They're not truly representing, what our principles and values should be. We have a plan to recruit and build a coalition of precinct delegates to come in and, change leadership completely and take this in a new direction. I said, that's the only option you got. Because what you're presenting to people here, like me, nobody's buying what you're selling here. Not at all. I got very limited amount of time in my day. And if I'm going to volunteer my time, it's not going to be for something like that.
Right.
So I said, okay. So I didn't get heavily involved. I kind of kept my finger on the pulse, signed up to be a precinct delegate in 2020, kind of hoping that would go through, and it did. And, they wiped the slate clean and started in a new direction. I thought that new direction was the right way to go to get more people involved, because the old way wasn't working. And like you said, there's when the leadership changed in 2021, a few people kind of hung around. But when we censured Mike Shirkey in February of 2021, that's when you could see the difference in establishment versus what I'm going to say, just your salt of the earth Republicans. These establishment folks were all huddled together that day. Again, I'm still new at that time. I hardly know anybody.
So if you're perceptive, you're seeing this.
I'm watching.
You're not jaded.
I'm watching.
Right.
And, you could see just everyone in that establishment, that group, just steaming about what was happening to Mike Shirkey.
Let's clarify who the establishment is. It is most of all of the county elected officials.
Or previous elected officials, yeah.
That's or some of the old timers within the Hillsdale County Republican Party. Some of those I don't believe ever held office. And Veer that held the chairmanship, I don't recall that he's ever held office, but he had been active in the party. Now whether he is with the present people or not, he's certainly not with us, which is unfortunate, but that's how it is.
Yeah. So after that meeting, they were gone. They were gone. They didn't want nothing to do. But that's, to me, I've always said this before I got involved in politics. You should be holding your own people's feet to the fire more so than your opposition. Democrats are going to be Democrats. You know what I mean? They're going to do what they're going to do. But we got to put fighters in place to stop them.
Right.
Like a Jonathan Lindsay, who fights his tail off to stop that.
And
that's
who I heard just the other day. I think he was voted second most conservative in Lansing.
Yeah. And did you hear why he's second most?
I didn't.
Because there's been some legislation in the past 2 years where Democrats have voted with him versus him voting with Democrats. So that's what brought him down a notch, which is funny to me because, if you look at his record, it's exactly what we would want as Republicans.
Right.
Whatever which way you want to think of as Republican, that's what you want. You want people fighting that we can hold accountable and will make changes and listen to their people.
And most of all, follow the Constitution.
Sure.
Right. Understand the Constitution for starters.
Yeah. So, after that, those guys were gone. In September of 21, the former treasurer stepped down, and they had it open, and the leadership team approached me and said, "Hey, we have nobody volunteering for this position. We posted it. We've sent emails out about it. Nobody's stepping up. Would you be willing to take this over until the next elections in 2022?" I'm like, all right, I can do that. I don't know anything about merch reporting, any of that stuff, but I will help make sure the money's managed properly and handled and taken care of. I'm just going to need some time and effort and some education to do the other stuff that the state needs.
But you do have a background in business and sales.
Yeah.
Not that probably that far removed from finance.
No, money-wise, it's pretty easy. I handle a lot more money than that for work, but just the state reporting and filing properly and all that stuff, that was new to me. So,
which hadn't been done properly by what we call the old guard either.
Exactly. Once I got into it, it's been a mess since late 2019. It looked like so. So I said, hey, if nobody else will step up and do it, by the time you guys have your meeting, I will do it. But if somebody else wants to do it, by all means, let them. But I'll put myself out there. If you got nobody, I'll do it. Because that's what I thought all of us are supposed to do as volunteers in a group like this anyways. Step up when people need you, So that meeting came up. Nobody else put their name in the hat. So I took that over. And that was the leadership position I held from then until the elections in 2022.
That was not under the chairmanship of Mr. Veer.
No.
Right.
No.
So we had a change of officers, but we had somebody resign from the treasurers, and you stepped into that position.
Yeah. Funny thing was, there was a fella, Tim Martin, really liked him. He hasn't been around. I don't think he does.
I'm not sure he even lives in the area anymore.
He might not. No. Really, I got along with him right out of the gate. He put it to Shirky that day. That's how I was like, and he came with receipts, man. Like he started telling Shirky stuff that day when he got censured and showed him, and Shirky had nothing to say because Tim brought his receipts and showed him like, hey, I'm backing this up with facts. But he came to my house. He was giving me a quote on redoing my roof for me, and he said, hey, y'all need to make sure you're watching yourselves. The old guard has put a plan in place to oust all you guys. And this was October of 2021. In my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean? As long as it's legal and it's decent that they want to come in and try to be involved again, great. It was my thoughts, And he's like, no. He's like, they're gonna do something pretty nefarious to take this over from you guys.
And they did.
Yeah. And I was like, it's a volunteer Republican Party. Like, why don't they just come now and start getting involved?
Right.
My time as treasurer, that group of folks, that we call the establishment. From the minute they were taken out of leadership positions till the split in 2022, donated 0 hours of volunteer time, $0 of donations to the party. So they left it on the side. Left it on the side of the road for whatever it be. And if you cared about an organization and you don't like what's going on with it, you stay involved to make the changes you want to see.
Right.
And and especially if you donate to it and then you got skin in the game, you have a bigger voice. You know what I mean? Like if you come and say, hey, I want to donate $10,000 to your group, I want to make sure you guys are using some of this money to help, Alzheimer's in Hillsdale County. Then that's our responsibility to make sure that we put some time and effort and financial assistance into what your expectation is with such a big donation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the world works. You know what I mean? So those guys just completely abandoning the party the way they did, and then spending their time to organize a plan to take back the party in 2022.
Right.
That's not what I view as a Republican for sure.
And I'm still puzzled why they did what they did, why they're doing what they're doing, why they feel they have to be the Republican Party of Hillsdale aside from the rest of us. That really kind of blows me away, and I think it's something that the average person that's at all politically inclined, cares at all about politics, ought to be considering in Hillsdale County.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a very strange situation for grown men that are supposed to be honorable people in this community to spend so much time, effort to hurt their fellow constituents, to fight over a volunteer organization that really, it is supposed to just be an arm of helping our local government have good people in place, So to me, with their abandonment of the party in 2020, with the backdoor acts that they did in 2022, showed me kind of what kind of men they are, and the reasons for their actions is still unknown. Like you said, it would be interesting to know who's pulling the strings behind this,
and the real reasons why they're doing what they. You've had to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket to defend yourself against them.
Yeah.
That's just a quick clue, I guess, of what's went on, right. And that's not even over at this point in time. And here we are in 2025.
Yeah.
They are the official Republican Party at the time, and many of us in the group have been rather sickened by the Republican Party because the state has been wishy-washy. They've been back and forth. They won't get behind us. They've had their own infighting, their own divisions, and that's not how you win. That's not how you take a banner forward.
No. And when we got the state involved, in 2022, we thought the right way. We're not going to take people to court over a volunteer group like these folks. You know what I mean? So we just got the state involved. We're like, hey, get involved in this and help figure it out. Whatever you guys say will go. We'll work with you.
We should say that, just so people know, there can only be one official Republican Party in a county.
Correct. One that is sanctioned by the Michigan GOP.
That's correct.
Now, you can have all types of parties that are non-sanctioned parties. There could be, per the state laws, there could be 10 different Republican parties, but only one recognized by the Michigan
state.
GOP.
That's right.
So.
But we've had the misfortune, or I guess the group, but some of you in particular have borne the brunt of the legal ramifications of this. We've had a court tell us we can't be the Republican Party, which we would believe they can't do. That's up to the state GOP, but they have. And in the meantime, if you just totally thumb your nose at them, you're going to be held in contempt of court.
Right.
So it has to go through the legal process.
Yeah, that's been an ongoing mess since late 2022. It's still ongoing right now. Our next court case is January 28th. But going back to that, yes, we saw administrative relief with the Michigan GOP. They ran right to the courts and started a lawsuit.
Right.
And they get a law firm that's one of the biggest law firms in the state of Michigan.
Right.
That has told us in court we typically don't handle these types of cases. Well, because there isn't these types of cases in court because they're typically handled administratively with the Michigan GOP.
Right.
That's why you don't see them in court like this. So they are. It is a unique case.
When courts can control who the party is, they're stepping outside their bounds of jurisdiction, are they not? You know,
Yes.
we have courts, we have legislation,
Right.
and they don't have a lot to do with each other. They're not supposed to.
Yeah, they're supposed to have their own funnels and stay within their swim lane.
Now, let me clarify. There is a little bit of law, Michigan law, in regards to parties.
Correct.
My understanding, my feeling is that the courts would have jurisdiction over that.
Correct.
Should it not be able to be settled at the party level?
Exactly. That's exactly the case that we've made from the get-go. So digging in summer of 2022 to find out what's going on with these these behind the scenes actions that they're putting in place to try to take over the party, we find out that they are just running rampant trying to get people to sign up for precinct delegates to flood the applications with name recognition to where they could take a majority of the delegates.
Right.
Instead of, and so by the time we find this out, I actually, as a treasurer and as a precinct delegate, I go visit some of these folks just to, say hello, give them my contact information. Hey, you're signed up to be a precinct delegate. I'm a precinct delegate. If you have questions, I can be a liaison for that, and I can help you and answer anything that you need. They told me that, I was told by so-and-so I needed to do this. Andrew Fink told me at church I needed to sign up if I wanted to be involved. Hodshire told me this is the way to get involved. All these folks, all these new folks that have never once been involved or been at any Republican meetings whatsoever, were all recruited by your establishment politicians.
And once again, you ponder to wonder why our state rep, and he's not at this point in time, but he was, and why our sheriff would be doing these things.
Yeah.
Why they have to have control of the party.
Right. So I got an email from Hodshire, and I've been very cordial with Scott. I don't really feel like there's any bad blood between me and him personally. But he sent me an email and said, hey, I know you're visiting these people. So somebody must have ran back and told him right away that I was visiting these folks. You need to make sure that you're not threatening them, intimidating them, or, something else of that nature. It was a couple years ago. And I responded back. I said, Scott, I'm a precinct delegate. I'm the treasurer of the party right now. If people want to get involved with the party, I want to make sure they have contacts with people in the party.
Right.
That are involved in the party. So far, all the people that I visited have not talked to anybody that's involved in the party.
And at that point in time, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I said, the state kind of was wishy-washy, willy-nilly. They went back and forth.
Yeah. So
and that'll be a story in detail for another day.
Yeah.
But at that point in time, I'm guessing that we were the designated Republican County party.
Correct. So we find all this out. And then we find out that 26 of our applications got thrown out on the very last day, giving their folks a supermajority.
And
so
this was for the 2020 election.
2022.
2022, yes.
So when you have 50 people that have never signed up before, never filled out an affidavit of identity,
right?
They all get it perfectly, and then
but our side doesn't.
But our side doesn't. Our side doesn't put a 1 in a precinct that only has 1 precinct.
Right.
So then I start calling other county clerks after we find out all these people get thrown out. So I start calling all these other county clerks and I record the conversations. I'm like, if I filled out an application, would you sit on it for a month and a half and wait? And they said, absolutely not. We'll help you fill it out right then and there. We'll notarize it right then and there. We want to make sure it's good to go because we don't want to have to go back and check.
Right. And
every county clerk in the state of Michigan said it sounded absurd what happened here in Hillsdale.
Right.
So we present this information to the Michigan GOP before the election. And we say, hey, we can't take this to the county clerk because they're part of it.
Right.
Can't take it to the sheriff, he's part of it. Can't take it to the prosecutor, he's part of it. What are we supposed to do? They're like, well, we don't know. Well, we're like, well, we're going to have a meeting and, disavow these applicants. And they said, well, you probably violate a bylaw if you do that, and we'll have to take action administratively. And we're like, okay, well, we'll pay the consequence for what we have to do.
Right.
We have to stand up for ourselves. So we did, and the Michigan GOP punished us. They told us, hey, this is your one and only punishment. If you do it again, there'll be further punishment taken from the Michigan GOP. We said, okay, fair enough. So therefore, going back to your point here a few minutes ago, the court should get involved when there can't be administrative relief to bylaw issues within the party.
That's probably true, and I was thinking more of the specific law that there is on the books in Michigan in regards to parties. Like I said, it's limited.
Yeah.
But if that remained unsettled, then it would seem fitting for the courts to step in.
Right.
But
so at that point, the lawsuit had went ahead. Michigan GOP was saying, well, we've already taken care of what you guys have done at the convention, so we're still going to recognize you, and we're like, okay. And so that, they went through on the court case. I got my own lawyer for that. She presented, 47, 48 pages of information, the first court case in regards to this. Olsaver, the judge in Lenawee County that presided over this case, he cited zero information that she provided out of 47 pages.
just didn't even address it.
So she came back to me and said, Josh, we'll still represent you, but you are not going to win with him. She's like, we work with Olsaver every week here in Lenawee County. He has never once, ever, not cited information we provided him. She's like, something's put here, and you're dead in the water right now. So for my lawyer to be intimate with me, to tell me, we'll still represent you, but you're screwed because this is outside the normal actions of this judge. We knew right in there that it was going to be a very turbulent court case with this. And he could have at any time, of all the Michigan GOP stuff that we presented to him, been able to say, you know what? I'm out. You guys settle this with Michigan GOP. If the Michigan GOP can't come to some agreement with your two groups, then we'll bring it back to court, which would have been the norm.
He did say that at one point in time, because I've sat in on most of those court cases, and I think his exact words is, I believe this is best settled by the GOP, Michigan GOP. And then when the MIGOP made their decision, he apparently didn't like it, because then he changed things. He ruled differently.
Well, yeah, his ruling for the contempt was after he had kind of handed back off to the Michigan GOP.
Mm-hmm.
I think he assumed the Michigan GOP would then look at things and hand it back off to Leininger and his coalition, and he didn't. So boom, within 3 weeks he had a final contempt order out after the Michigan GOP sided with us again.
So it would appear the Judge Olsaver, is playing favorites.
I mean,
he's not. It would appear he's not being an unbiased referee.
Well, he's had plenty of opportunity to step out of the situation, to hand it back over to the Michigan GOP, and time again he chooses not to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're taking a mini break there. I wanted to get this in, and it might be a little out of order, but at one point in time we had two or three chairs till you've now become the chair of our group, which is becoming Hillsdale Conservatives, and you might touch on that process in a minute. But one in particular of the chairs reached out to the other side, if I'm not mistaken, repeatedly. Mm-hmm. Come on back, let's mend our differences, let's be a party. They'd have nothing to do with it.
No. Yeah, David Mosby multiple times. He's got some more close relation to the Leiningers.
I think his stepfather might be related to.
Yeah, I think that's how it is. So,
the present chair
so
of the other side, and also County Commissioner Brent Leininger.
Yeah. So, he's reached out. I've actually put myself out there to have conversations as well when I wasn't even in a leadership position whatsoever. To have some, man-to-man conversations. Let's just come to the table.
Right.
Let's air our grievances and see if we can find some common ground. They won't do it.
Right.
And
again, that leads me to wonder, why are they fighting tooth and nail? I don't know if they're spending their own resources, but they've run up horrendous attorney bills. Just horrendous. I don't know if you care to share the figure or not. But for what real reason?
Yeah.
Why do they have to keep control of the local party? Is there a story behind this, is what I wonder.
Yeah, that's something that people are still doing some investigating on for sure. So, 2023 came through, and the contempt order was placed in the spring. I had already been planning a family fun night, just kind of a way to give back to the community in May of 2023. I've been advertising since February. It said America First on the advertisement, also said Hillsdale County Republican Party on it. At that time, we were still recognized by the Michigan GOP as the official party. And I was a precinct delegate. So I was like, well, whatever. It's a free event. We're not conducting business, whatever. So the final order from Olsaver came out end of April. That first week of May, I was in New Orleans for work. I came back. I flew in that afternoon, drove from the airport to the event at Old Wilson Hall, and put on the event.
Mm-hmm.
And, we fed over 200 people, men, women, and children. It was a really good time. We had precinct delegates helping. We had a county commissioner, with state senator was there. 20 plus volunteers there. It was just a great evening. None
of the old guard, though.
No, none of the old guys.
Right.
No.
And
just a really great night. I think I spent close to $300 on food out of my own pocket. There was no money used from the party to put this on. It was everyone's time, effort, and finances to put on just a good evening for families to come to.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that constituents, if you listen to them, there's not enough to do for families in Hillsdale over and over and over again. If you go out and actually talk to the people that make this town click. So we're like, all right, well, we're listening to you. We're going to do something. It's not going to cost you anything. Come out, have fun, play some games, win some prizes, have some pizza, have some pop. Spend 20 minutes with us and head on out.
Right.
Really cool deal. Had some superheroes there. Took pictures with them. It was neat. So within like 3 days of having that event, they filed another lawsuit that we were in contempt of court. And I hadn't even got the paperwork yet. I'm like, I don't even know, how am I even breaking any contempt when I don't even have the paperwork? I didn't get the paperwork from the court until May 12th. The event was the 4th or 5th. So by the time they had already filed contempt charges before I even got the final order from Olsaver from April 30th. What am I supposed to do there?
Right.
You know what I mean? So then when I get the final order from Olsaver finally, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this other stuff that I'm in contempt of court. And he says, you can't operate as the Republican Party. You can't hold business. You can't operate finances. Just normal business stuff as the official party is what the court was saying. Okay, I didn't do any of that. Because I had an advertisement that the county party was putting this on. I am the county party. I'm a precinct delegate. That's who makes up the party, is precinct delegates, and I am one. It's my event. It's my money. I didn't use finances. I didn't operate. I didn't conduct business. So it was silly to me that we're still now. That was May of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It's January of 2025, and we're still in court over a family fun night.
Right.
So
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, for sure. So fast tracking. From that moment on, we're like, hey, look, this is how these people are. We've seen it time and time again. We've tried to play nice. We've tried to extend an olive branch. We've tried to take the high road and go through the administrative relief process with the Michigan GOP. These guys don't care. They show it time and time again that there is no coming to Jesus moment with these people, you know. So I said, hey, at that point, let's start our own deal. You know, we have a ton of members.
And this is particularly after we've, I would say, been wronged by the GOP. And so many of us have a kind of sour taste in our mouth for the Michigan Republicans.
Yeah, you know.
At least is how they stand right now.
Yeah, like you said, you touched on earlier, the Michigan GOP has gone through a ton of struggles themselves in the same time span that we've been dealing with these two factions here in the county. So it's been tough for them dealing with the bigger issues internally for them to step out of that bubble to take care of problems like in Hillsdale. If they would have addressed them when there wasn't all the problems right out of the gate and been strong in regards to it, they could have squashed it a long time ago.
Right.
They can still get involved now and squash it, but now they're going through a leadership changeover now again. So we'll have to wait and see what, how all of that transpires. Right. I'm not putting a lot of faith in regards to that. We gotta let time take its process with the Michigan GOP. There's still a lot of good people involved with it.
Oh yeah.
There's still a lot of allies there. I'm not going to put any pressure on those guys right now for anything with Hillsdale. What we have liaisons for that. We have our points of contact for that. We'll just let them work it through the district and through the state party.
Right.
And not.
And as you had said before we started recording this podcast, we don't have to be the party to run people for politics.
Correct.
The way the laws are right now, you can run as a Republican. You don't have to belong to the Republican Party.
Yep.
So we can be effective politically as the Hillsdale Conservatives.
Yep.
What it really takes is the will of the people, not just us that are gathered. There's 18 townships. There's the county government. There's 7 cities and villages, I believe.
Right.
So all told, I want to say there's maybe like 200 public officials within Hillsdale County.
Yeah.
We've had over 100 people at our meetings with some consistency. It's dwindled back a bit from that. We don't have enough people coming to our meetings to take over the county, so to speak. Now,
sure.
you could if you had, say most of the boards around here are 5 members. The township boards, the county board is 5 members. So if you have 3 that are like-minded and stick together on votes, you have the majority. So you don't need all 200 of those spots to make a difference. If you had even 2 people that were persuasive in their arguments and what they have to present to the board, you might sway other board members.
Yeah.
I am not currently holding public office, but I have for about a total of 10 years of my life.
Right.
And it's quite something how the public doesn't pay attention.
Yeah.
They'll come out to elections if you have campaigned hard, if you've made yourself known, or if you're running on a party that they like. Like for the first time when I ran for office, no one opposed me. I got within like 12 votes of people that had been there for 20 plus years. Okay. Now, there was people that knew me and voted for me, but a lot of those didn't. They simply went in and voted Republican.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's what happened.
Yeah.
The people as a whole definitely need to be more cognizant of what's going on in their county, all told, not just what we're talking about within the party, but at government places, their township governments, their city governments. If we're to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people have to do it.
That's right.
And when you've got the same ones that have been the ones in office for years and years and years and years, and there'll be times nobody files to run for a seat. Many times that they run unopposed. In many instances, it's fairly easy to win a seat in township government, not quite so much at the county level, although sometimes things happen that you might, if you raise your hand, you might get put on that board.
Right.
I think that's happened when we've had resignations for one reason or another, and the commissioners chose from a pretty small sampling who they would replace that person with. So it's not like you have to have a lot of money. You have to be willing to learn, because if you don't give two hoots about anything, probably government being involved isn't your cup of tea.
Right.
But you don't have to know everything to take local office.
Yeah, yeah.
So our group wants to foster people to take our county in the correct direction.
Correct.
I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's kind of where we decided, our goals and our mission we're going to be as a separate group is to organize a group enough to help those who aren't in politics to get off the sidelines and get involved. And then also give our constituents a choice for Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard there's an unwritten rule in Hillsdale by the old timers that there's a Republican in office, another Republican doesn't run against them. And I found this out in my race in 2024. So 2024 was our first go at giving folks a choice, and we put up a lot of folks in different positions all over the county. We won a handful. We lost a lot, but I'm not really looking at it as losses more than lessons in regards to our first go around on it. For me particularly, I can use my case better than anybody's that we ran. I ran for Jefferson Township Supervisor, and I think I lost by like 60 votes. But you're out campaigning, and I don't have the name recognition as the guy that's the current township supervisor that's been there forever. People were willing to listen and listen to kind of what my vision was and what I had hoped for the position. And I think I won a lot of votes in regards to that. I think that's where I think I lost, was I did not get out and be able to sit down with as many people as I needed to. On top of that, the citizens have to get involved.
They do.
What do we only have 30% of our registered voters vote in the primary in 2024?
About that. And I think that's about the norm.
Yeah. And see,
people need to understand that primary. When you were going up against another supervisor on the Republican ticket, your race is decided in August of who will move forward to the November to run on the Republican ticket. Only one of you moves forward.
Yeah.
People don't really, as a whole, realize that, and so they sure, I'll vote for you, and they go to the polls in November, and you're not on there.
Yeah. I had a bunch of people at the fair come and say, "I'm going to vote for you in November." I'm like, "No, you can't. You're supposed to vote in August." Right? Oh man, I didn't do it. I'm like, and that was something we were specific, like in communicating to people. It's like, the August, you have to go vote in August. This is the date. This is where you can go vote. We're trying to give everyone the voter information that they needed. And the people
in general, they need to buck up and learn a little bit, because if we're to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Those people that only vote at least need to know how the voting process works.
Yep, yep. And that's that I feel like that's part of our job is what our group needs to do is make sure we're educating folks as much as we can.
Right.
And if we lead them to water, they got to drink it.
Right.
But we can't say that we didn't lead them. You know what I mean? So I think that's important for us moving forward as an organization. And it was funny out on the campaign trail. I was told that I was right-wing extremist by my competition to voters, and then I also was told that I was a Democrat hiding as a Republican to voters. I'm like, man, just pick one then, stick with it.
Right.
It was very interesting running for my first race, and I don't know what the future is going to hold. That's an election every 4 years. One thing I was going to do. I didn't want to take a salary for it. I didn't even know you're getting paid to be a supervisor. I thought it was just a servitude position. And that's how I was going to look at it. I was like, I'm just serving my community, And no, they're like, you gotta get paid. You can't forfeit it. But per the bylaws, you have to take the paycheck. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just take it and then I'll reinvest it into a park in Osseo. And they're like, well, there's no land. I'm like, I already got a private landowner that would donate that back to Osseo if I become supervisor per park. So I'm like, I got that covered. Man, some of those old timers in Jefferson Township that have been involved in politics did not like that whatsoever. I'm like, how can you not like that?
Right.
It's the taxpayers' money. I'm going to give it back to the taxpayers somehow.
Right.
If you're going to make me take the paycheck that I don't want, I'm going to give it back to the taxpayers. We're serving the community as government is supposed to be servants, not employees, not dictators, so.
Definitely not dictators.
Yeah, so very interesting to see how some people react to that. But so that was our first go round, and then in October of 2024, we held elections for our new executive board for our organization, and we all voted at that time to allow them to take effect immediately. And so one of their first actions was, let's look at our name. Do we really want to be the Republicans of this county that are in office? We know who they are. We know their small circle. Do we really want to be bundled with them? If we're going to go at this and give people a conscience difference for the Republican ticket, should we change our name to make sure that they know there's a significant difference between organizations? So the executive board took that back to our membership. We have over 100 members in our group right now. Going through 2024, we had the highest amount of members that we've had since I became involved in 2020. We had 111 active members, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd have to say, from my experience with the old guard, and I was there a brief time before things went downhill and changed as they have, and they did not have those kind of numbers.
No, not at all.
And they don't now.
Yeah, no. I know I just got an email from their last meeting. I think they had 14 people there to pick their chairman and vice chair and all that. 14 people. I don't even know how I can operate that way, but that's another story. So,
and unless people think I just want to throw this in and I want you to say what you want to say, the board of our group is not just a handful of people. There's quite a number of people, and I don't remember the exact number because I think we only had that beginning meeting to place them or choose them.
Yeah, we have our officers. We have 12 board members that are not officers. So 17 officials, if you will, out of a group of 111.
So thered be a place pretty easily for some type of leadership within our organization if you share the same values that we do.
Yeah, exactly. And we got, we have subcommittees right now that are being formed for this year, and it's pretty exciting times to kind of really see the organization really, settling in on what we're going to do and what our missions are moving forward. But back to the name, the executive board decided to go back to the members and allow the members to vote on options for names. They didn't just take it upon themselves. They wanted to make sure everyone had a voice in regards to that if they're a member of our group, which was really good because that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Our leadership shouldn't be dictators, especially for a volunteer organization like ours. And, it was overwhelming that they chose to change it to Hillsdale Conservatives. We still have the kind of tagline America First because, that's kind of the era that we're in and kind of how we move forward and making sure we're putting, not just America First, but Hillsdale first in what we're doing. And so, we're using that name right now to advertise ourselves, to kind of just let it settle in and working through paperwork with the state to get it officially changed at the state level for the, paperwork side of things. And once we get that fixed, then we can change things over at the bank and then we'll be ready to rock 100%.
Right.
So hopefully in the next couple weeks it'll all be done.
And we're not married to a name. We're married to principles.
Exactly right.
Typically in my life, if you had a choice between the two major ones, Democrat or Republican, the Republicans at least said they were the more conservative. But for anyone that's paid attention to politics, and I'm talking generally, not just in Hillsdale County, we've got a lot of Republicans that are there for the name, which reminds me that we've had local Republicans share on the side that they weren't really Republicans. Yeah. That's just where they hung their hat. Yeah. So you need to know your officials. These people run as Republicans. You may not be getting something very conservative at all. You right. think, well, we voted all Republicans, we're good to go. Yeah. Not necessarily.
That's right. That's right. That was, couldn't be more evident, in the last election when, they're shoving millages, taxes down your throat.
Right.
That's not very Republican in my eyes. As a taxpayer, I want my government officials who are representing me as a Republican to be trying to take taxes away. I want these folks trying to keep as much money in my pocket as possible. And it seemed like the consistency that I saw out of these Republican officials is consistent in regards to taking money, getting more money.
They do it pretty easily, don't they?
That's the thing, man. It's baffling to me.
Right. Well, part of that problem is people not showing up at the polls.
Yeah.
There's always a question, are our elections here 100% clean? Well, they'll say they are. I have some reservation without trying to be just conspiracy-minded about it. On a separate but somewhat related case, Stephanie Scott, who was clerk of Adams Township, is in court, and I don't know the exact date. I want to say it's like the 26th of this month. And they are calling our present county clerk to come testify in court. That's going to be kind of interesting because some of the things that has went down in regards to that case makes you wonder how things are run.
Yeah. I asked our current county clerk at a meeting in the end of 2023. I presented an election law that he violated with Adams Township, and I just read it to him. I said, "Do you realize that you were in violation of this law?" And he told me, "I'm not a lawyer."
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
here's the thing.
Fair enough, you're not a lawyer, but like if your position is to uphold these laws,
right?
You should probably know.
You might make an honest mistake and screw up at following the law, but when you double down on it,
mm-hmm.
leads one to wonder.
Yeah, no doubt. And really, I just want some folks, folks out, the regular people to get off the sidelines and get involved, like you're saying, get involved in their local politics. And we want to just be able to help those folks that want to do that and, make some changes that they're not happy with. When I was out campaigning, there's so many frustrated people, average everyday people, you know, and you know, these folks don't know where to start. They don't know how to get involved. They don't know how to make a change. They feel defeated already. They feel like their votes don't count. There was a handful of people, 5 to 10 people I talked to on the campaign trail that said, I like you, Josh, but even if I go vote for you, it ain't going to matter, so I'm not going to do it.
They give up before they've even started. Yeah.
And you're thinking, man, all right, there's 10 people there. If I lost by 60, there's 10 people there that just weren't going to vote because they don't believe in voting anymore, because they think it's all rigged and it's all corrupt. And you can't hardly blame them for what they've seen over the past 5 years.
No, but when you give up and don't try, then it's a given.
Yeah. And then you talk to another 10 to 15 people at the fair that just didn't realize that they were supposed to go vote in August, that come up to me and say, I'm going to vote for you in November. I'm like, no, you can't. It's already passed.
Right.
Boom, you're already at 25 votes right there that just, sailed out the window. So it's going to be a big target for us to really hone in on this 70% of folks that aren't voting in primaries. We got to move that needle. We got to get those people activated somehow, some way, and get them enough knowledge to be dangerous to go into the polls and have a little bit of confidence in what they're trying to choose.
Right.
And, if we get some of our people in there and they're not doing a good job, one, if you're in their ear, let them know.
Right.
Let us know so we can try to help them and mentor them to do better for the people, because our folks want to serve. And, if they can't make the changes and they aren't doing what the expectation is of the community, then you vote them out the next term.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be rocket science for sure.
And it's not that terrible hard at the township level.
Yeah.
As you, that's our most basic unit of government here, and if we can't participate there, you probably should ask yourself, what kind of patriotic American are you?
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely need more involvement, and a group like ours can help educate the people, have a good time. The meetings that we have are once a month, so it's not like you got to be there every week.
Yeah.
We expect some participation. Choose an area where you'll be good at and work with the team that's doing that. We meet the first Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. At the old Wilson Hall. That's 7 South Manning, I believe.
Yep.
So it's right near downtown with adequate parking. And we're usually out of there by, 9 o'clock at least, sometimes sooner.
At the latest. Most of the time I'm trying to keep that itinerary to being done around 8:15.
Right. And you do have some very interesting speakers. In the time that you've been organizing this, we've given back to the community quite a bit. We've provided a forum for people to present their businesses. I personally would like to see these business people that come and tell us about their business. I'd like to see them back in the meetings more. We maybe get a bit, but too often it seems like they take advantage of that, but then we don't see them again.
Yeah.
But we've given to Toys for Tots. You've given to Jasmine's Voice, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to touch on some of those worthy organizations.
Yeah, and that's going to be always part of it too. Is like, if we're an organization of the community, we have to walk the walk if we're going to talk the talk. So, Toys for Tots has been something that we've really done a really good job with. We do 2 toy drives a year for them.
Didn't the director say that we were like the top group for giving? Or
last year in 2023, our donations was one of the top ones in the county.
And not to blow our own horn, but this is what we're doing for the community.
Awesome. And it's not just us buying the gifts. We're just organizing enough to get enough people to kind of come together to increase the amount that we're doing. So we've done that for those guys, and all those toys stay in Hillsdale County for Hillsdale families. And we volunteer at the gifting event that Toys for Tots does in early December. The last couple of years, our members have, and I personally have done that as well. And it's definitely pulls in your heartstrings because we're we're not the richest county in Michigan, that's for sure, and
Right.
there's people struggling, and it's good to be able to help some folks that otherwise they're fighting every tooth and nail to pay their bills. There's no money left over to buy toys for their kids, so this is a big help for them.
Right. And we need, within our ranks, we need more younger people. When I say that, I don't mean all 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
You're a handful of the younger members of our group. I'm senior citizens age, and we've got people 10 and 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
That are still coming to the meetings. They aren't going to be around forever.
Right.
We need to pass the torch. We need to mentor some for a time,
yep.
if they need it. We need involvement.
Yep, for sure. You know, we're starting to do that. It's taken some time. I think the public school system has done a disservice to the younger generation in regards to government and politics. But we do have a board member that's 22 years old. The youngest board member, or youngest member of the group, is 18. So we're starting to get some younger blood in there, and hopefully those younger folks that have become members can start bringing in some people that they know,
right.
networking that way. Jasmine's Voice, another group that we've done really good with. We're actually gearing up to do another gifting event for them. And the folks that don't know, Jasmine's Voice is a organization that does communication devices for autistic children that are nonverbal. And, autism is severely on the rise in the United States.
So that's more and more a needful thing.
Yeah. And, my family, we have 2 children that are autistic, so it's near and dear to my heart as well to help those kids out. So I think we've gifted 8 devices over the past 2.5 years. And we have one more child in Hillsdale County that we're trying to get one here in the spring. So they're not cheap. I think it's a $650 investment for our group to donate to Jasmine's Voice to get them everything that they need. So, but every time there's a family in need for that, our group steps up and takes care of it. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
So, and then we're heavily involved with Share the Warmth, the warming shelter there in Hillsdale. We just donated over $1,000 worth of food to them here a couple months ago, and that's a big deal. Most of their operating cost is food and drinks, and when we can infuse that kind of money into them, it just helps their operating overhead big time. So,
right.
And right now, just for folks that are aware, Share the Warmth is seeing the highest number of attendees per night that they've ever had in 7 years.
Wow.
In Hillsdale County.
Yeah.
And they're at a point right now where they're looking to try to add bunk beds in there because they're out of
Space.
space.
Right.
It's pretty sad.
And they're looking for volunteers as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just being there and not much more than studying and making sure things are good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jesus said, "If you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me."
Yeah.
So if we sit back and don't do anything like that, may come a day we will regret it.
Yeah. And I know there is some members of our group that volunteer. Penny, who is the director of Share the Warmth, is a member, and God bless her, man. She's doing some awesome work for sure. And God willing, hopefully we can implement a full-time shelter for folks and rehabilitation for folks here in the near future, and take it to the next step to where we can get these folks back on their feet.
Some people may look at some of these people that, they're just druggies, they're just going to be a consistent thing. That's not the case with all. There's some people that are, for one reason or another, down on their luck for a time, and I know one in particular that has his own truck now, and he's back to work. Yeah. But for a time, they were there in the shelter.
Yeah. And there's every year, man, if you ever get a chance to talk to folks over there, especially Penny, she can give you success stories every season of folks that were just down on their luck, ran into some breaks that just knocked them down, and without sure they wouldn't have been able to get back up. So it's making a difference for sure.
Is there anything in particular more you want to say about? I don't know. exactly how long we've run here, but we're running a little long.
Yeah, no, I'm just happy to share my story about what personally I've dealt with it. Excited for the future of this group, and
Right.
hopefully, like you said, we can continue to reach the community and give them an option and give them a way to be educated. And, as long as there's people wanting to make this movement occur, then we're going to keep moving forward.
So, tell us again how people can find us, how they can get involved.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. Obviously, that's what everyone's go-to on social media is.
And that's under?
It's under Hillsdale Conservatives now on Facebook. And, every first Thursday of every month at 7 South Manning Street.
With the exception of, I think, December.
Yeah, December.
You take off December.
Yeah. Yep, and then...
so again, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock at 7 South Manning.
Yep.
In Hillsdale.
Yeah, that's the
first Thursday of the month.
Yeah, those are probably the two easiest ways right now. We're slowly doing a slow rollout of our new website, and there's some good information there, but the links will be tied to the Facebook page.
Right.
So, I appreciate you having me today, and hopefully...
we appreciate you being here, and I hope we can do this again, maybe delve into a little deeper to the story that we've touched on. There's quite a bit more to it, unfortunately. May be of interest to people.
Yeah.
If this has touched a chord with you, maybe go back and listen again or share it with someone and come give us a try. Come visit with us and see if we're not for you. So, Josh, I guess that's about it for today. And thanks for coming. And
awesome.
We'll do it again.
Sounds great.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mark.